Canvas of Sound is an immersive environment created in Unity which can be experienced using an Xbox 360 controller and Oculus Rift's virtual reality headset. Imagine the ability to see sound in the form of colors, spatially oriented in front of you. This simultaneously occurring sensation is called synesthesia. 1 in 300 people actually have some form of this realistic superpower. We combine synesthesia with interactive storytelling to enhance the immersion of our environment. You play as a person who actually has this power. Born into a family of musicians but aspiring to be an artist, there has always been conflict with your family about which path you should take. Your late uncle was the only one who supported this dream, and finding out that your uncle left a message for you, you go back to his room after many years in hopes of finding some kind of answer. The main goal of the project is to allow people who do not have synesthesia to experience it for themselves. We guide the user's progression through the narrative in our environment using voice-acted dialogue. The narrative allows users to reflect on the choices between following one's dreams or compromising based on circumstances. Since the story's conflict is to find an answer to the protagonist's dilemma, the environment is designed to be a mini puzzle room. Through hints in the dialogue, the user is led to a visual clue that will let the player complete the puzzle and find the message.
I really enjoyed it. The intro was a little bit sad, but very kind of touching. And then exploring the room, I really enjoyed going to the instruments and having this sort of experience of how you could experience music in a visual way with synesthesia, which I thought was very interesting because I don't have that gift, but with VR and this experience, I'm able to understand what that would feel like.
We designed with the intent to have the user embody the character they play as and feel the things that the character should feel. Happy when the character is happy, and likewise when they are sad. A theoretical paper written by Meister and her colleagues stated, based on studies, that the more similar a user is to their VR avatar, the more they feel that they actually are that virtual person, and vice versa the more different they are. Based on this, we decided to increase user empathy towards the character by not specifying the age, race, and gender of the player character, to make it easier for the user to imagine themselves as the protagonist.
I liked the experience. I thought it was touching with the relationship between the passed away uncle and the protagonist.
The main conceptual framework of immersion that we focused on is sensory-based immersion. Synesthesia is all about visual and auditory perception, so we've tried to create the synesthetic effect as accurately as possible based on videos and research of people who actually have the ability. For the auditory aspect, we designed a track that has 3 layers of sound: ambient sound, such as the background music or rain, sound effects, such as the ones that come from the interactive instruments, and also the narrative dialogue that tells the story. All of the dialogue that happens inside the player's head sounds ethereal and echoey to give the feeling that the voices are memories. According to Gerald's environmental design guidelines, having a well-designed soundtrack can help evoke emotion while providing a sense of realism and presence. We also incorporated guidelines from Gerald's perception and adverse health effects to reduce the amount of motion sickness during the experience. The movement in our environment has the sensitivity of the controller set to super low to avoid the sense of sudden acceleration in the environment. We also designed the experience to be sitting down to avoid physical injuries. To make it more intuitive, we designed the search task to be of similar objects, the only ones in the room that can create a melody for the user to see. The other furniture in the room is present to increase the difficulty of the search. For attracting participants to try out our final project, we built a large black box out of about 30 pieces of foam board and filled the interior with colorful construction paper cut into circles that mimic the first scene of our environment. The physical rig provides a more closed-off space for users to transition in and out of the experience, while also blocking out external light and sounds. The initial concept for our VR experience was developed through affinity diagramming and finding a theme that would fit under all 3 common themes of sightseeing, simulation, and psychology that came up during the exercise. After deciding on synesthesia, we went through several iterations of the story and how our main theme would be incorporated. The scope of the project was narrowed down from experiencing multiple different types of synesthesia to just one. From there, we began creating the environments and programming the interactions. A large part of our research and development went into finding the best way to portray synesthesia within the game. Our initial approach involved particle systems, but we later upgraded it using spectrum data from audio sources to control the color and size of moving spheres in the air. The fidelity of the environment was also increased between iterations.
Good, that looks beautiful. From now on, I'll play the music and you paint the colors you see. What a fantastic duet we made.
As far as we know based on our research into the topic, there have not been any immersive VR experiences centered around simulating the experiences of a synesthete. The existing ones are either 360 video or a black screen with colored dots based on sound.
You're able to visualize something which is clearly not visible in any other way, so that's great that you can actually experience synesthesia. I like that a lot. I thought that was very cool.
The most cool thing is you can see the sound, and it make me feel like I'm special. I'm different than most of people.
We believe that this project is relevant because the visual and auditory elements that result from having synesthesia are things that have the potential to create a perspective-changing and engaging VR experience. The project is meaningful and would be cool to experience because it is a real power that people can possess, but those without synesthesia will never know how it feels to be one. Thus, we hope our project can allow these people to experience things through the eyes of someone who literally sees the world differently.